Hi, Russell.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Excellent. Where are we right now?
We are in the Freethought Library. It is a building that is owned by the atheist community of Austin, and we've been here for like a year or two after about 18 years of the group existing.
Cool. Lots and lots of atheist books, I see.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great donations by the membership. I think a few of these were mine at one point.
What are your studies? Where did you study?
I got a bachelor's degree in computer science from the University of California in San Diego. Really nice place to live and work. As a student, I worked in a place for a short time where I had an office with a window overlooking the beach. I moved to Texas in 1998 and then Austin later in early 2000, and I worked there for a while, and then went back for my master's degree in computer engineering at the University of Texas. And I've been a software engineer basically ever since I left school.
And what's your specialty?
I'm a web developer. I do a lot of Java enterprise work. And, a lot of stuff with databases, really high traffic websites, that sort of thing. I work with a small team of professionals who do extremely complex websites with a lot of account information, a lot of database work, a lot of financial transactions like credit card payments, and product sign-ups and things like that. And I've been through a pretty large number of jobs in my life because I lived through the 2000s, which was a rough time for software. There was a period of time when every company was promising free massages and beer in the refrigerator to get people in, and then the economy crashed. And it wasn't so much like that anymore. So I went through a number of contracts after graduate school. But ultimately, I've worked my way back into a position where we're all treated pretty well. There's a really good work-life balance, and I find the work really fun and engaging, even though I would probably put a lot of people to sleep by trying to describe in detail how it works.
When did you start being involved in radio and TV? And you also have, on top of being a host of the Atheist Experience, you also have a podcast, right?
Yeah, we have another podcast called The Non-Profits, which is profits with a PH. That was Jeff D's idea, and I was there for the launch of it. I got the technical end of it up and running before becoming another host on it. When I moved to Austin, I found out about the atheist group pretty quickly. I went and checked out the studio, and I said, hey, I want to be involved in that. So that was like 15 years ago, and since then I've kind of worn all hats on the Atheist Experience. There were a couple of years when I was the producer. I've been one of the rotating co-hosts, and right now I'm one of the main hosts.
Let's not avoid the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Would you like to be as famous as Matt?
Yes.
Because he's doing that professionally now, right?
Kind of. He's moved on to make Patreon videos,
right.
Which is pretty cool. And in the last year or so, I've started getting invited a lot more places to do professional speaking. In fact, I'm going to the American Atheist Convention next week to do a panel with David Silverman. So that's great. I don't know that I could travel as much as Matt. The fact is, I worked pretty hard to get my degree and to work my way up in my career, and I like what I do. And I feel like atheism is not the only part of my personality, so maybe I'd like to spend half and half on each, but I think I think work comes first.
What's your religious background?
I'm actually a fourth-generation atheist. My parents both have PhDs in physics, and I was raised atheist even in some parts of the country, like Auburn, Alabama, where I lived for 5 years in the heart of the Bible Belt. And I have a son who is turning 13 this year, and he's a fifth-generation atheist.
Tell me about your family. So you have you said you had a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You have a wife, obviously.
Yes.
And also I know about the fact that your sister works on the show.
She did a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
She just had her first child last year. So now I have a nephew, which is a lot of fun because it's all the it's all the fun of shaping a young mind and none of the responsibility of doing the boring stuff. But I do have to, I do have to work with my son a lot. Like I said, he is about to turn 13, and that age is a handful. So he's in middle school right now. His mother is from my first marriage. I'm currently married to a woman named Linnea, who I got divorced shortly after grad school, and then I met her pretty soon after, and she was a fan of the show, I'll say it.
There you go.
And we got married in 2011.
It's a great way to meet people.
It's true. I would recommend it to people, except that it's kind of a hard path to pull off.
Let's talk about your hobbies. I understand you're really into video games and playing video games.
I am actually a big gamer, which means that my work and my hobbies kind of coincide with each other, which is actually a pretty good situation to be in. I do some streaming on Twitch TV. I'm rglasser27. I'm not very good at any of the games I stream, so I never get more than like a dozen or so viewers at its peak. But it is, I'm a bit of a narcissist, so I like to, and if I'm playing video games anyway, it's kind of fun to have an audience. I started on text adventures in the 1980s, and I actually wrote a text adventure for a competition in 96. It didn't do very well, but it kind of paid off when I introduced my wife to text adventure authoring. That same competition is still going on, and in the last 2 years she's taken first and second place. So she is far more talented than I am at that writing. I also have something of a singing background. I was in Chorus Austin for 5 years, and I was also in a chorus since my senior year of high school and all the way through college. Yeah, it's a community chorus. We do Carmina Burana, Masses by Bach, big stuff. I haven't even seen one of their shows in a few years. I've been meaning to. And I also used to ski a lot, so I still try to get back to my mother's place in Santa Fe every few years.
Ted Cruz. He's in the news. Why do you laugh? There's nothing funny. Ted Cruz has been in the news a lot. So my question is, do you think Ted Cruz is the reincarnation of George Bush Jr.?
there's been a trend in American politics that I keep thinking that the Republican Party cannot come up with anyone worse than the last person. I remember back in 2000, people would laugh at George Bush and say that he didn't have a chance of winning anything because he made so many gaffes. Before that, we had Dan Quayle. And, that's kind of showing my age a bit. But, Bush came along and everybody thought, well, it doesn't get worse than this. And then the next cycle, they ran Sarah Palin. And now we have Ted Cruz, who I think may well be a worse candidate than Sarah Palin. Texas politics are awful. Luckily, Austin is a little sea of sanity in the middle of a very, very red state. But yeah, I am a flaming liberal. By American standards, anyway. I don't know how I'd measure up to Canadian politics.
I always call Austin the mini California.
That's what I call it too. And since I came from San Diego, this was when I first moved to Texas. I went to Fort Worth, which is near Dallas, and is kind of part of the rest of Texas. And I spent a year there thinking, wow, what have I done? And then I moved to Austin, and I was like, oh, I'm home again.
You once described your position as the emergency backup host. Now you're much more often on the show, I think, since that title. So I guess you're the permanent backup host.
That's true. Well, I was officially, I'm the host of the show once a month, but Matt has been doing a lot of traveling, and so some months I do almost every show, and it probably works out to a lot closer to 50% now. Well, the Atheist Experience airs live every Sunday from 4:30 to 5:30 Central Standard Time. The Nonprofits runs every first and third Wednesday of the month, and it also airs live at 7 p.m., although a lot more people listen to it as a podcast. And if you are interested in seeing me play video games, you can always go to twitch.tv/rglasser27.
Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Nice talking to you.